Imagine a city that had it all: the wealth of New York, the intellect of Oxford, and the industrial muscle of Manchester. A place that gave India its own national anthem, and the world its first wireless signals. If you were a betting person in the 1930s, you would have wagered your entire life savings on this very region leading the Asian century. It was very well the undisputed North Star. But today, that glittering empire of intellect and industry is struggling to find its own reflection in the mirror. And by the way, it didn't lose to a catastrophic war. It wasn't wiped out by a natural disaster. Instead, in a brilliant stroke of historical irony, it meticulously engineered its own downfall. How did that happen? All in the pursuit of a perfect, equal society. I welcome you all to the great Bengal paradox, where the noble quest to distribute wealth somehow ended up distributing poverty. Well, if you see, the case study of Bengal is very unique and in many ways unsettling. Not because it once had the major industries with wealth greater than other parts of India, but because of something far more powerful. It's deeply rooted intellectual class. A class that was not isolated, not unaware, but fully conscious of what was happening globally. A class whose very role was to illuminate the path forward, to guide society towards progress, and to lead Bengal into the future. And yet, it did not. Well, let's stop right here. And before we jump to any conclusion, let's be precise about what we are interacting about. Before analyzing the decline of Bengal, we must first understand what Bengal actually was. In economic terms, the depth of its strength, the scale of its potential, and as I mentioned, there was a time when it was referred to as the Manchester of the East, one of the earliest industrialized regions in India, with a level of industrial activity comparable to several parts of Europe. At the same time, its intellectual and scientific community was working on ideas far ahead of their time, from wireless communication to quantum physics to modern chemistry, which were the building blocks of what would later become the next great revolution, which was the internet age. Bengal had everything it needed to transition from the industrial revolution all the way to the information revolution. It had the industry, it had the intellect, it also had the vision. It very well could have led India into the internet era. But instead, it not only failed to make that transition, it moved in the opposite direction. Bengal witnessed a sharp phase of deindustrialization. And this did not happen in silence. It unfolded in the name of social welfare. Labor movements, strikes, and protests like Gherao movement. These were aimed at correcting inequality, but often at the cost of industrial stability. This was the same Bengal where even leading industrialists like Ghanshyam Das Birla became symbolic targets. All of these was in the wave of social and economic resistance. And if you think, this brings us to the most uncomfortable question of all. When all of this was happening in progress, what was the intellectual class doing? Why were there no strong warnings about these consequences of such a radical shift? Did they fail to see it? Or did they choose not to? My intention here is not to blame the intellectual class of that time. Perhaps we also do not fully understand the conditions that they were living under, the pressure that they were facing, and the limitations on their freedom to speak, right? Or maybe openly challenge the direction in which the society was fast moving. But the purpose of raising these questions today is not to rewrite the past. What actually has happened cannot be changed in this world or any other world. What matters is the choice that we make going forward. Because the decisions that we take today will shape our future in the same way. And the most important question here is, was there another way to go through the process of wealth distribution? So let me bring this up with a simple example. Imagine a village with 10 people. Out of them, 3 people know the technology and the processes required to make chapatis effectively, while the remaining 7 work under them in different parts of the production line. Naturally, these 3 people may appear more fortunate to the others because they control production and therefore wealth for sure. Now suppose, in the name of equality, we decide to distribute all the rotis equally among everyone. At first glance, it seems very fair, no questions asked. You successfully have made everyone equal. But the real question is, at what cost? Instead of forcing equality through the distribution alone, you could have actually encouraged those 3 people to expand their production, grow their business, and create greater prosperity, while ensuring that the other 7 people received better wages, more opportunities, and a higher standard of living along with that guaranteed growth. But instead, if we weaken those 3 people forcefully in the process of redistribution, reducing both their capacity and incentive to expand, then gradually the entire system begins to slow down. The producers become weaker, production fails, expansion stops, and eventually everyone becomes equal. Think for a moment. Not in prosperity, but actually in poverty. So let me end this section with this question, and I want you to ask yourself, is this truly the distribution of wealth or merely the distribution of poverty?